Okay, so it looks like that first YouTube live did not render in full HD. So I'm going to try to go through this again and do this with YouTube. I'm hoping that we'll get a better resolution. Anyway, so we're going to start with the Hebrew writing system, consonants and vowels. The Hebrew writing system, consonants. Hebrew is written from right to left. The original orthography was derived from the Canaanite one. But after the exiles returned from Babylon exile, 6th century BCE, the script used for the Aramaic language was gradually adopted and has been used since. The script is often referred to as square or block because of the straight strokes. Okay, so here's an example of your script, Ba'aretz. We've got, this is taken from Haaretz, July 10th. Okay. So the Hebrew alphabet has 22 letters. 5 of them have a special letter used in the word final position. That means that if it shows up at the end of the word, it transforms into this other form known as final or sophete. And the advertisement below, the first and last letters stand for the same sound. Okay, M, with the letter at the end of the sequence, or left-hand side in final position. Most printed materials use block print, block form of the letters. A handwritten set is used for writing with strokes that are mostly rounded, as printing is now done by computers. Fonts in the handwritten style are occasionally used in printed materials as well. Okay. Hebrew does not use capital letters. Words are separated by a space and the letters are written separately. That is not connected. In both printed and handwritten styles, punctuation is similar to that of English. Biblical texts that are published in printed form. Okay, so here's these, some of these letters here. Let me see here. So Fasophete, we have this here. Sadi, Sadisophete, Kof, Resh, Sheen, and Seen, Tav, and Tav. So what's the difference here? Well, we've got a dot, superlinear dot here. That makes that Seen, pronounced like transliterated like this. Okay. But it looks, it's sometimes you see it like this, but that actually in English spells sin, but it's more like EE, it's like long E sound, seen. Okay, Aleph and Ayin are pronounced with a stoppage of the airflow, much like the initial sound in O. 3 of the consonants, Bet, Kaf, and Pei, have 2 variants each. One is the stop variant pronounced with a stoppage of the airflow. Okay, so we've got Bet, B, got B, K, P, respectively. And the others are fricative, that is pronounced with friction. And the organ is V, C, H, as in Hebrew, Chai, and the German Nach, F, respectively. This stop variant occurs at the beginning of the word or at the beginning of the syllable, should it follow a vowelless consonant like the 2 P sounds in Pilpel below. The fricative variant occurs in the middle of the word and is always preceded by a vowel. The orthography represents the difference by placing a dot called a dagesh. Just remember that, dagesh, within the consonant to indicate the stop. Thus, okay, so here's these 3 letters. Okay, number 1, we've got Pei, Kaf, Bet. Pei, Kaf, and Bet. B, K, P. Okay. And here they are again, but without the dot, you've got Fe, you've got Chaf, and you've got Vet. So you got the V sound, the CH in this here, Chaf, and F. Fe. Now that one there, Fe. Since Kaf and Pei in the final position are always fricatives, the corresponding letter names are Hafsophete and Fasophete. Respectively, historically, 3 additional consonants, Gimel, Dalet, and Tav, also have 2 such variants. The distinction no longer exists in modern pronunciations. What they're talking about here is, for example, Tav. Okay, it used to have another variant with more like TH. And then it would have a harder variant, which would be a strong T. Okay, so this is why in your King James English Bible, which many like to decry as, not good, but personally, I think it's a very good translation. The TH, it still is referencing, for example, the word Nathan. That's a Tav that has that ancient TH sound that's no longer used today. Look at that. It managed to pick it up back then. Okay, so that's an example there. The Dalet had a similar, and the Gimel. Okay, the distinction no longer exists in modern pronunciation, but it is still present in the orthography, where these consonants will have a dagesh at the beginning of the word or after a vowelless consonant. Note the consonants. Okay. Okay, we've got Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Chaf, Fe, Tav, with or without a dagesh, the following examples. Okay, so here's Balon, Kach, Dod, Miktav, Ot, Pila Pela. Notice that there's a dot, makes that a harder P than a Fe. Oaf, Got, Kitafot. Okay, so notice and here, this dot in that letter makes that a cough, so it's harder. It's like a K sound. Whereas without that dot, it would be sort of like a CH sound, like cough. It's kind of in your throat kind of sound. All right, so here's some other ones here. Okay, et, pen, et. Notice they sound the same. It's a different word. This is a tet. This is a tav. Here's nasa, carried, and nasa. Sound the same way, but this is a samic, and this is a scene. And that's something. And then you've got an aleph here and an ayin here. Okay. Ak, brother, and ak, meaning but. Okay, notice the difference? We've got a het here. We've got a chaf safi here. Okay, sounds the same, but means something different. They may sound exactly the same, but are spelled differently. Okay, that's important to know. The potential for spelling errors is significant and can be diminished only through constant exposure to the written test. So, you know what that means? That means applying yourself, rote memorization. That's essentially what they're saying there. I get stuck on words all the time, and I have to constantly refresh. Okay, so very often the consonants aleph, hey, vav, and yod are presented in the written word as part of the orthographic representation of a vowel, but play no role in pronunciation. For example, the word shana may be in principle written with or without the final hey. It would sound exactly the same in both the cases. The same goes for the word reshit, beginning, which could have been written without the aleph or the yod, or the word door, which could have been written with the vav. In keeping with historical spelling or the spelling rules formulated by the Israeli Academy of Hebrew Language, words maintain their vowel indicating consonants, which are referred to as emote, Kyria. Okay, emote, Kyria. Mothers of reading. Also in Latin, you might see this. Maters lectionis Mothers are breeding. You might see that in a Hebrew text coming out of Yale or someplace where they use Latin more so to describe various grammar elements. In borrowed foreign words, Hebrew uses three sounds that are not part of its native sound system. They are indicated in the orthography of a single quote mark next to Gimel, Zayin, or Zayt. Okay, so for example, they got this little marks here in front of the Gimel, the Zayin, and the Sadiq. Okay, and they change slightly the sound. So what this does is it makes it, instead of a g hard sound, it's j, like George. And instead of a z sound, it's garage. You hear that last part? It's more over of a GZ sound. It's because of that little mark they put here. This is for purposes of some of the words like jeans, like wearing jeans. Okay, everybody wears jeans, seems like these days. That Hebrew had to adapt and transliterate some of the modern words. And so that's what they're going into here. Cello. Notice this. This is more like a TS sound ordinarily, but with that little mark there, cello. Okay, all right. Accentuation is of great importance in Hebrew, as two words that may be identical, except for the stress placement, will carry different meanings. Okay, so for example, bira. This is capital. Bira. This is beer. Okay, notice the stress here in bira, and in this is bira. Okay, bira. This would be capital, and then bira, beer. Okay, notice this is a little bit smaller. This is a little bit bigger here. So in this case, there's stress depending on whether it's the final syllable or the first syllable. Normally, it's the second syllable. It's that part there. Okay. All right. So in Hebrew words, the primary stress falls mostly on the last syllable. But many classes of words have an actual stress. The sound files attached to flashcards and reading sections will guide the learners in producing the correct accentuation. We'll be using two Hebrew font faces in the text. Learn to recognize the slightly different letter shapes. Okay, so there's just a couple of slight differences here between these text here. And notice this one's a little more ornate than this. These are both yod. And this is more of an ornate yod. Sometimes it's hard to mark. Let's see here. They've got a sonic here and more of a zero looking thing here. That's sonic. This is a little more ornate here, maybe a little more like calligraphy looking kind of stuff. Okay, this is more normal. All right, so they're just telling you that they're going to use both of them. Okay, so now we have an exercise. This is saying match letters with letter names. Okay, so we'll do that, but I want to see how this renders first on Facebook, because I want people to have a clear picture. I really was not happy with Facebook Live at all, rendering from Zoom. They should be rendering that in 1080p, especially if you've got a device that handles it. But I'm hoping that YouTube will be able to do a better job, so we'll see. All right, folks, until later.